All of a sudden, everyone was singing his words. This success showed that his songs were important, even though he wasn't a big single star yet. John didn't look back after the Mitchell Trio was over. He was already going up the pop charts by himself. By the beginning of the 1970s, he was getting hits all the time. It wasn't often that easy to go from being in a group to being a solo star. But John seemed to have no trouble. John Denver's career took off when his first record, Poems, Prayers, and Promises, came out in 1971. What a great song! Take Me Home, Country Roads almost didn't become the anthem we all know and love. Early copies didn't sound right, and there was a moment when it seemed like the song might not work. But Denver's new boss, Jerry Winrobe, didn't want that to happen. He worked hard to get the song played on radio stations beginning in Denver, Colorado. When it came out on April 12, 1971, it didn't do very well for a while. It got to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 by August 28. It became a gold record that same month after selling over 1 million copies. Kept going strong over the years. In the US, it had sold over 1.5 million digital copies by 2017. Even the state of West Virginia made it their official song in 2014 because of how popular it was. After that, Denver made Rocky Mountain High in 1972. It was his 6th record and the first to make it to the US Top 10. Came out in September of that year. On the Billboard 200, it got as high as number 4. The title song was one of Denver's most well-known songs and made it to the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 in 1973. Fans of the outdoors still love it, even though it was ranked number 29 on the year-end chart. That it was shot at Slaughterhouse Falls in Aspen, Colorado, makes it even more interesting. After many years, Rocky Mountain High was made one of Colorado's 2 official state songs in 2007. Between 1974 and 1975, John Denver had his best years. He had 4 number 1 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 in just 18 months. Sunshine on My Shoulders was the first number 1 song in March 1974. Annie's Song came in second in July 1974. The number 1 song in May 1975 was Thank God I'm a Country Boy. In September 1975, I'm Sorry came in at number 2. His wide range of skills was shown by these hits. Some, like Sunshine on My Shoulders, were kind and positive. Some were very lively, like Thank God I'm a Country Boy. His song for his wife, which he wrote in just 10 minutes, became a famous wedding song. At this point, Denver could be heard on the radio, seen on TV, and heard in millions of living rooms. Denver also put out 3 songs that all went to number 1 during this time. In 1973, John Denver's Greatest Hits album sold so well that it beat Elvis Presley as RCA Records' best-selling album of all time. In 1974, Back Home Again came out and went triple platinum in the US. Windong came out in 1975 and sold 2 million copies. These 3 records proved that Denver was a real star. Denver had written about 300 songs by the end of his career. He wrote around 200 of them by himself. He had 12 gold records and 4 platinum albums. More than 33 million units were sold around the world. He was one of the most popular singer-songwriters in the 1970s because of that. John Denver's move into Hollywood was both a surprise and a success. He was in the hit movie Oh God with comedy great George Burns in 1977. Denver had never been on stage before, but his earnestness and easygoing charm made people like him. The movie, directed by Carl Reiner and based on a book by Avery Corman, was about a normal supermarket manager who was picked by God to share a word from God. Denver gave a comfortable performance that made it easy to believe in his role. The movie did really well, making over $51 million in the US and even getting nominated for an Oscar for Best Script. Denver never showed up in the sequels, but this part proved he could do more than just sing. It also made him stand out as a musician who could easily switch to acting. During the 1970s, Denver also made a style that people loved. People knew him by his long blonde hair, wire-rimmed glasses, and Western shirts with designs on them. And Zapp designed these shirts. Denver met her at an art show in Aspen. His gentle, down-to-earth personality went well with her bright, handmade patterns. After her, Stars like Willie Nelson and Bonnie R.A. would also wear her clothes. Denver had a friendly, warm look that was easy to spot. At the time, it stood for the simple, emotional spirit of folk and country music. It was very different from the louder styles of other artists. He also won over fans outside of the U.S., even though some critics weren't sure he could. Jerry Weinrob, his manager, thought it was important for Denver to talk to people from other countries. So, even though there were some doubts, Weinrob put together a run of TV specials for people in Britain. They were going to go straight to the people because the critics weren't going to make Denver a star, Winner said. The plan worked out great. People in Britain loved Denver's warm, friendly style, and his clear voice made him a popular choice across Europe. The specials made Denver famous around the world and showed that TV was a great way to get new acts noticed in other countries. They were also very close to Colorado in Denver, getting bigger like a country road. John Denver was RCA's golden boy for 25 years. After that, they let him go like he wasn't important. His ex-wives had already told everyone about his bad anger and chainsaw rampages. His drinking had cost him his license to fly. In 1997, he was no longer allowed to fly by law, but he kept going up anyway. Someone made a mistake on the test plane that killed him. When the police finally put it all together, they found something worse. The crash could have been avoided. There were warning signs all over, but no one paid attention. You will be shocked by what really happened that day. His real name is Henry John Dutzkondorf Jr., and he was born on December 31, 1943. His family loved flying, and he was born in Roswell, New Mexico. He had a famous Air Force father named Captain Henry Dutch Dutzkondorf, Sr. He flew the B-58 Hustler bomber and set 3 speed marks. Dutch was a hero in the service, and the Air Force even put him in its Hall of Fame. Life wasn't easy for young John, though. Moving around a lot as a military kid. He moved around a lot and never stayed in one place long enough to make real friends. As soon as he felt like he was safe, it was time to leave again. He felt alone and like he didn't belong anywhere because of this. He felt like he didn't have a real home for a long time. He lived in Tucson, Arizona, with his grandma when he was 11 years old. She gave him a big gift. It was a Gibson guitar from 1910, which is more than 40 years ago. To a boy who had felt like he was moving around a lot, that guitar became something real and steady. He could say things he couldn't say with words through music. The sound of its strings made him feel better. He also started singing with the Tucson, Arizona Boys Chorus and learned how to tune his voice and do shows. He felt like he belonged in this famous group in a way that school never could. Folk songs were already being played at small gigs by the time he was in high school. Music was more than just a fun thing to do. He did it to make sense of his life. His dad was very strict, and things between them were often tense. Dutch thought his son would do great in everything. John was nicer, and his dream was to write songs. But they both loved flying very much. As soon as John became a pilot, they were really close. A way for them to bond was to fly together, even though it was dangerous. John would think about that risk a lot later on, especially after his own death in a plane crash in 1997. That link stayed with him, though, and it showed up in his songs about freedom and the sky. John went to Texas Tech University after high school to study design. But he wasn't really interested in drawing plans. His true desire was to make music, so he quit school and moved to Los Angeles. He chose to change his last name around this time. He chose Denver as the name of the city after Colorado's capital because the mountains and rivers in the state moved him. It was like starting over. He had a big break in 1965. He was chosen as the lead singer for the Chad Mitchell Trio out of 250 singers who tried out. This was his first big chance in the music business. It gave him the chance to perform for new groups of people across the country and helped him learn and grow. He worked with the band for 2 years and made 3 records with them. On stage, he learned how to sing with ease. He worked on writing his own songs when he wasn't performing. It was hard to tour, but John took it all in. He was slowly getting his voice back. At this time, Leaving on a Jet Plane was one of his most well-known songs. It was sang by Peter, Paul, and Mary in 1967, and by 1969 it was at the top of the Billboard charts. He loved the state's scenery and way of life after moving to Aspen. He was named Colorado's Poet Laureate in 1974. He had released Rocky Mountain High 2 years before. It was a song that made you feel like you were standing by a blue mountain lake and enjoying the quiet forest. This song became a sort of anthem for Colorado, and in 2007 it was made one of the state's 2 official songs. People in the area felt like Denver had a real link to the area. In 2014, officials in West Virginia made his song, Take Me Home, Country Roads, one of their state songs. This shows how vividly his music painted pictures of American places. During the 1970s and 1980s, Denver was also a TV star. An Evening with John Denver, which he did in 1975, even got a Primetime Emmy Award. This was a big award, and he was put in the same group as some of the best performers at the time. Denver was also in a lot of other TV shows, singing his hits, sharing stories, and putting on shows with his friends. His music was played in living rooms all over the world and in the United States. He was one of the most liked entertainers of his time because every show felt personal and from the heart. John Denver did a lot more than just sing. He spoke in front of the U.S. Senate in 1985. Parents wanted records they thought were too racy to have warning labels on them. Denver spoke out even though he was known for soft songs. He told them that someone had taken down his song Rocky Mountain High because they thought it was about drugs. It wasn't true. Denver stood firm and calmly in defense of free speech. Many people thought that he would back the warning signs, but he didn't. That moment changed the argument for good. The effect is still felt in the music world today. Denver was the first American singer to tour the Soviet Union in more than 10 years that same year. It was tense during the Cold War. There were a lot of problems between the 2 countries. Denver made a choice to do something different. He did 11 shows all over the USSR. There was more to the trip than just fun. Cultures could talk to each other through it. He was greeted by people in Moscow, Leningrad, and Talon. His message of peace was clear to everyone, even those who didn't speak his language. He sang about their problems and his own dreams. It made him write a new song called Let Us Begin, which is about having peace instead of war. His well-known live album, Live in the USSR, was made from recordings from this trip. Since the Chernobyl accident in 1986, Denver moved back to the Soviet Union in 1987.